Wall Street market makers always make sure of one thing before they pour billions of dollars into an asset. Chinese pump groups in CS2, well, they do the exact same thing. And fortunately for you, as they're all off for Chinese New Year, they're testing.
And now for our Counter-Strike report. New York's very own Mike Water.
Welcome back to DE News China. I'm your host, Mike Water 9. Sorry for no video yesterday. I was fixing the website. It looks really good right now on mobile and desktop. Go check it out for yourself. I will leave a premium code somewhere in this video. If you find it, you're the first one. It's yours. So let's track how Chinese capital moved throughout the market this week. A very interesting week. And that's good for you because you just saw over the last 2 weeks how fast the market moves when Chinese capital is involved. The cool down right now is obviously just a pause. And all a pause means is that it will resume, so you have a buying opportunity. And as of this morning, it seems to be already closing. Money did start to flow back in the market. So the question is now, what are you doing with the time you have left? There was a lot of hype present in the market this week surrounding discontinued cases, specifically the weapon case 1. I made a video on it 2 days ago. It was 150, it went up to 220, and then it pulled back. Suck my dick. The two options I proposed separately were the weapon case 2 and 3, which are up 70% and 60% on the week. I'm not bringing this up to be petty. I'm bringing it up because it tells a stark difference of who is controlling the prices of these separate cases. American weasel little dorks, they're the ones who FOMO'd into the weapon case 1. They FOMO'd out immediately. Those Chinese motherfuckers with their pure inelastic demand, they'll buy until they hit the price they want. And that's why you're seeing price action across all of the other discontinued cases and not just weapon case 1. But for now, let's touch on what we talked about last week, where we spotted a very unique buying pattern that typically results in a gun being pumped sooner or later. In traditional economics and finance, this is called depth of book testing, and it has the exact same meaning as it would in this market. Before a market maker or market manipulator decides to put real capital into an asset, they sort of probe the order book. The order book is all the people buying at the prices they want and all the people selling at the prices they want to sell at. First, they buy and they wait to see how fast that sell side refills. Another small buy, measure the refill again. If the supply is thin, meaning that it takes a long time for that sell side to reaccumulate, that tells the market maker that this asset is pretty illiquid and that the asset will be very easy to control with a large enough purchase. On Wall Street, algorithms, they do this in 5 seconds. But in CS2, like we said, 7 days in the CS market is like 1 day on the stock market because of the 7-day trade hold and the illiquidity that is promised to you when you buy something. It is a radically different timescale, but it is the same protocol. And that is your biggest edge in this market because once they do those tests, the price has already gone up. You can't spot them in the market. But in the CS2 market, you can. In fact, you have 7 days to spot it. It's very easy. A skin on the market that came out last year with 30,000 guns in supply and a gun that came out 10 years ago with 30,000 guns in supply, those are fundamentally different. And that's the velocity of the supply. The gun from 10 years ago, dormant accounts, vac banned accounts, people who died, whatever. Some of those skins are not actually in supply, even though it's counted towards the supply. While it exists in reality, it does not actually exist for what we're looking for. So maybe that gun with 30,000 in supply actually really only has 13,000, and that's much easier to control than a gun with 30,000 in supply. Let's take a look at one of China's most recent pumps, the FAMAS Pulse from the winter offensive case. It's over 10 years old at this point, and while the supply looks pretty moderate on paper, a lot of those simply are not going to be listed. Some of them have been listed for years. Very thin supply and a very tiny increase in price resulted in the supply going down massively and taking days to recover. And you can see it on the graph in real time. 2 small tests, very small tests. Third one confirmed, shot up even more so this morning. It's up to around $65 now. They noticed how long that supply took to refill, and they knew supply was thin and it was not coming back at the rate at which it was being eaten up at. So that plays a huge part, and it's why the Chinese were focused on discontinued cases before this whole weapon case 1 debacle, and why they'll still be interested in it after the weapon case 1 debacle. Or if it is China hiding and getting themselves in there while all the hype is on something else. Now we know that all pumps get followed up by a pullback, but the size of that pullback, that's telling you who's buying. The market price was 150 of the weapon case 1, went to 230, then down to 170 in like 3 days. That is an incredibly large pullback, and the people who bought from 150 to 220 cannot sell yet, which means it's going to pull back most likely even more. So now we can tell when it's emotional dork Americans buying or Chinese fucking robot market maker. And with that distinction, the landscape looks much different and a lot of opportunities open up to us. We'll get into those current plays after a word from our sponsor, skinsmonkey.com. Today's video has been sponsored by the lovely ladies and gentlemen over at skinsmonkey.com. Skinsmonkey is the industry standard trading forum and marketplace for anything and all things Counter-Strike. 24/7 support and an instant trading system so fast, those Bulgarian overpay goblins are sure to go out of business. Now, if that's not enough incentive, throw my code Mike in on the website for $5 off on your first trade. But if you trade up to $100 on the website, they'll double your bonus from 5 to 10. Now, if you don't have any skins and I just gave you some free game on investment advice, you could deposit money and use the website as a marketplace as well. In that case, my code Mike will net you a 5% deposit bonus, bringing it from 30 to 35%. So go get swagged out, courtesy of skinsmonkey.com. Now, the landscape behind pumped skins changed a lot after cases got discontinued. Before the discontinuation, while the supply of these rare cases were not coming in at a very large rate, you still had to take into account that cases were coming in, and thus you couldn't put a cap on the supply of the guns. So oftentimes these Chinese groups would focus on discontinued collections, not cases. Now, of course, the next trade-up update made them a little bit more interested in them, but the discontinuation of the cases confirmed that and made them move all in. So we gotta find those cases that are discontinued, where the pullback surrounding this hype was not too great, meaning the capital is there and staying there until they get to a certain price, and been around long enough that some of the supply is actually gone for both the case and the skins in the case, making both easier to pump. So which cases follow both of these criteria? Well, I always harp on some of them. Spectrum, Gamma, and Chroma. They did see increases on the week. Not massive increases, but they did increase, and they have not pulled back all too much yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But supply is rather large relative to the other cases we're talking about, so these are lower conviction cases to look at. The more high conviction ones include Winter Offensive, Vanguard, esports cases, all of them 2013, 1 and 2, and then 2014. Right, these cases are cheap, but they still have low supply. So there's no reason for the Chinese to move into weapon case 1 because a case is $200 and all the skins inside are start at like $100 already. So it takes a lot of capital to move, even if the supply is low. The Winter Offensive case, though, on the other hand, costs $10 to open, and all the skins inside are cheap, proportional to the $10 case price. That means it's going to take far less capital to pump it to a decent amount and get out with profit. You saw it with the FAMAS Pulse. It was the cheapest proof of concept, and it worked out swimmingly. So I imagine they're going to continue on this same trend. Weapon cases 2 and 3 will probably go up as well. That's why eyeing in on those cases where supply is low, case prices are high but not too high, where that balance of being able to control the supply with a low enough capital, I think that's where their next gold mine is. Not only because these cases have guns in them that are more likely to pump, but if they don't pump them, the guns themselves will most likely increase. If they pump the red in the case, for example, and you have a few of the pinks, well, it's a trade-up filler, so that'll go up as well. But if they're buying all of the reds and the red price goes up and all the pinks go up and purples and blues, well, then that case goes up as well, no? To match the EV of all of the guns within the case. So it has a downstream effect from one gun being pumped, and it has the effect of case EV going up to match the gun's new price. So there's two factors working into increasing prices without even you holding the skin that's being pumped. That's why those guns like the M4 Guardian and Decimator I spoke about last week look really good still, and even more so now with all cases going up. Case price increases, even if the EV matches, less people are opening those cases. Less people are opening those cases, less incoming supply. Less incoming supply, more easy to buy the existing supply, more easy to pump. I'll also make note of the fact that minimal wear condition guns are being bought more than they were last pump cycle, so keep your eye out for that. It will be a different video because I have a pretty long thesis on it. It won't fit inside this video, but keep that in mind for now. Don't buy on that information because there is specifics about the certain minimal wear guns, but for now, just keep it in mind, keep your eye out for minimal wear guns this time around. Quick update on last week's watchlist. I talked about the Rat Rod minimal wear AK-47. It's up over 50% in the last 7 days. For you, it might not be over 50% gains because as I was editing the fucking video, it got pumped a decent amount, around $4. It was $12 before. But if you bought after the video, you should still be up around 25%. So thank fucking God. I thought most of you were gonna eat that spike pretty hard. And like I just said, continued conviction on the Guardian and Decimator. I would still hold those because like we said, this market takes a long time for pumps to actually happen after accumulation. As for this week's watch list, my first one will be the Winter Offensive case Galil Sandstorm. Now it does have the same float cap as the Galil Eco, which saw a massive price pump. Now because it's a blue lower rarity, it won't have that same value, but you could see a decent 2x and just get the fuck out immediately. Same also applies to pretty much any other blue in the Winter Offensive case. The M249 is super cheap because it's a fucking M249. and I believe it's 0 to 1. So for the second thing on the watch list, it's going to just be M4A4s right now. A lot of the M4A4s were the first guns pumped by China last summer and have thus cooled down while they move to other sectors. But it looks like prices have cooled down to the point where they are starting to re-enter. So I like the Dragon King right now, the Desolate Space, and the Battlestar. Those are all pretty cheap right now considering where they were in the past. And of course, they're all in cases that have the fundamentals of being in a discontinued case. As for my watch list, I will post my watch lists for both DE News China and DE News on Sunday on the website MikeWater9.com. In the stock market section, I will have an index where I list all of my picks and I'll update it week by week. That way you can watch me be right every single week and be glad that you're on my team. Live stream tonight, I'll be doing it again on both Twitch and YouTube. I didn't want to dilute the viewer base because it was small, but we're starting to grow decently large enough where I can split it up again, and I'll just have both chats on either side. Soon I'll touch on the minimal wear thing I was talking about, as well as 0 to 1 float caps, because there is an actual reason why they're buying these more, and it can help us further understand what they're doing in the market. As always, peace.